And that small shift changes everything. Because once your morning stops being a reaction and starts becoming a choice, your whole day can feel less like a race and more like a conversation with yourself. That sounds small, but small is exactly where real change usually begins.
Yeah, and honestly, that's the part people miss. They keep waiting for a huge burst of motivation, like some movie scene where the music swells and suddenly they become a different person. But real life is more like repeated tiny decisions, one after another, quietly shaping the mood of the day.
Exactly. If you want a calmer life, you usually do not begin with a giant plan. You begin with one moment that you repeat. Maybe it is not checking your phone for the first 10 minutes, or making your bed, or simply sitting before you speak to the world. That first choice can change the tone.
And tone matters because it affects everything that follows. If you start rushed, you carry rush into your work, your conversations, even your meals. But if you start steady, you give your brain a chance to catch up with your body instead of dragging behind it all day.
Let's slow this down and make it practical. Think about the last time you woke up and immediately reached for your phone. What happened next? Maybe messages, maybe news, maybe a video, maybe one tiny comment that changed your mood before you even stood up. That is how the day gets stolen early.
Oh, absolutely. And it happens so fast that people do not even notice it. They just say, I woke up tired. But really, they woke up and instantly handed their attention to the loudest thing nearby. Attention is like currency, and the first thing you spend it on often shapes the rest.
That is such a good way to say it. Attention is currency. And if you spend all of it before breakfast, then by afternoon you are wondering why you feel empty. It is not that you are weak. It is that your mind has been busy before it had a chance to be ready.
Right, and that feeling of being busy before being ready is exhausting. You are not choosing what matters yet. You're just reacting. That is why many people feel like their lives are happening to them instead of being lived by them. The routine is there, but it is on autopilot.
Autopilot can be useful in some situations, but not when it controls your entire life. When everything becomes automatic, you stop noticing what helps you and what hurts you. You stop asking, does this routine support me? And start asking only, can I survive this morning?
And survival mode is a real thing. It sounds dramatic, but it is actually very common. You wake up late, rush, skip breakfast, answer messages in a panic, and then wonder why your chest feels tight by 10 a.m. The body keeps score, even when the mind is pretending everything is fine.
That phrase is so important. The body keeps score. Because even if you are smiling in a meeting, your system may still be carrying the stress of the first hour. That is why routines are not just about productivity. They are about emotional safety and mental space too.
Exactly. A good routine is not a prison. It is not a strict set of rules that makes life boring. It is more like a railing on a staircase. It helps you move through the day without falling into chaos every time something unexpected happens.
I like that image, a railing on a staircase. It does not do the climbing for you, but it gives you support. And support is what many people are actually looking for when they say they need discipline. They do not need pressure. They need a structure that makes good choices easier.
And structure can be surprisingly gentle. For example, maybe your morning structure is simple. Wake up, drink water, breathe, then check your phone. That order alone changes things. You are not banning technology. You're just deciding that your mind gets first access to your own morning.
That is a beautiful way to put it. Your mind gets first access. Because if the first voice you hear every morning is the internet, it becomes very hard to hear yourself. And then later, when you feel confused or disconnected, you do not know whether the feeling is yours or borrowed.
Borrowed is a strong word, but it fits. So much of modern stress is borrowed stress. Someone else posts something and suddenly you compare. A headline appears and now your whole body is alert. A message arrives and your attention jumps. You are carrying other people's urgency without noticing.
Yes, and that is why quiet matters so much. Quiet gives you a chance to separate your own thoughts from the noise around you. Even 2 or 3 minutes of silence can make you feel less like a machine and more like a person. That is not mystical. It is just nervous system care.
Nervous system care sounds fancy, but the idea is simple. If your system is constantly being pulled, it gets tired faster. If you let it settle, even briefly, it can do its job better. You think more clearly, you react less, and you stop treating every small problem like an emergency.
Let's talk about that word, emergency. Many people live as if everything is urgent. If they do not answer immediately, something terrible will happen. If they are not always available, they feel guilty. But not everything deserves instant action. A healthy routine teaches your brain that.
That is such an important point. The world will always try to convince you that now is the only time that matters. Now, now, now. But a steady routine says, hold on, I can respond without panicking. That tiny pause is powerful because it creates choice where there used to be pressure.
And choice is one of the most calming things in the world. When you feel like you have choices, you feel less trapped. Even small choices count. Do I check email now or after breakfast? Do I stretch before work or after? Do I go outside for 2 minutes or stay stuck in the same room?
Those are small questions, but they are also identity questions in disguise. They ask, what kind of person am I becoming through repetition? Because routines do not just organize your time, they quietly train your self-image. After enough repetition, they become part of who you think you are.
That is why changing a routine can feel uncomfortable at first. It is not only a schedule shift, it is an identity shift. If you have always been the person who wakes up in a hurry, then waking up calmly may feel strange, almost suspicious. Your brain says, wait, where is the panic?
Exactly. Your brain gets used to drama. Calm can feel unfamiliar, but unfamiliar does not mean wrong. It just means new. And new habits often feel awkward before they feel natural, which is why consistency matters more than intensity.
Consistency is such a helpful word. People often want transformation to be fast and dramatic, but daily life responds to repetition. 1 calm morning will help. 3 in a row help more. 10 in a row begin to create a different baseline. You are teaching your body what normal feels.
And that baseline is huge. If your baseline is chaos, then ordinary stress feels unbearable. If your baseline is steady, then stress still exists, but it does not knock you over as easily. That is why routines are not about becoming perfect. They are about becoming resilient.
Resilient, yes, not perfect. That is another myth people need to let go of. A good routine does not mean every day is beautiful and peaceful. Life will still happen. You will still have bad mornings, hard conversations, and unexpected problems. But your routine can help you return faster.
Return faster is such a good phrase because the real goal is not never getting off track. The real goal is not staying lost for too long. Everybody has rough days. The question is whether your habits give you a way back to yourself after the day gets messy.
So let us look at the evening, because mornings do not exist alone. A chaotic evening often creates a chaotic morning. If you sleep late, scroll endlessly, or bring stress into bed, you are carrying tomorrow's confusion into tonight. Routines are connected like links in a chain.
Yes, one link affects the next. If you close the day with a little order, you often open the next day with less friction. That might mean putting your clothes out, cleaning one small surface, writing tomorrow's first task, or simply putting your phone away before your mind becomes foggy.
That last one is powerful. So many people say they want better mornings, but they keep the phone beside the pillow like an alarm clock and an invitation. Then they wonder why they wake up mentally crowded. The first input of the day can be a gift or a problem.
And the funny thing is, nobody thinks of a phone as heavy, but mentally it can be. It carries messages, opinions, expectations, entertainment, comparisons. When you pick it up first thing, you are opening a door before you know what kind of room is behind it.
That is beautifully said. Opening a door before you know the room. Routines give you a little control over the rooms you enter mentally. They help you decide, this is how I want to begin. This is the kind of energy I want to invite.
And energy is contagious. If you start the day calm, that calm can spread. If you start it frantic, the frantic feeling often spreads too. It is not magic, it is just how humans work. We mirror the pace we live in, even when we pretend we are above it.
So maybe the real question is not, how do I become more disciplined? Maybe the question is, what environment am I creating for my own mind? Because people do not grow well in constant noise. They grow better where there is rhythm, breathing room, and a little predictability.
Predictability gets a bad reputation sometimes. Like, it means boring, but boring is not the same as safe. And safe is often exactly what a tired nervous system needs. When things are predictable in the right way, the brain spends less energy bracing for surprise.
That is why small routines can feel so comforting. A cup of tea at the same time, a walk after lunch, 5 minutes of stretching, writing 3 lines in a notebook. These are not grand achievements, but they tell your mind, you are not floating. You have anchors.
Anchors, yes, I love that. Because without anchors, everything can feel like drift. And drift is sneaky. It does not always look like failure. Sometimes it looks like being busy, responsive, and productive. But underneath, you feel untethered, like your day belongs to everyone except you.
And that feeling is often the first sign that a routine needs attention. Not because you are lazy, and not because you are doing life wrong, just because your current pattern may not be supporting the person you are becoming. That is a very different conversation.
It is, and it is a kinder conversation. Instead of asking, what is wrong with me, you ask, what is this routine doing to me? That shift alone removes shame. Shame freezes people. Curiosity helps them move, and movement is where change begins.
Curiosity really does change the tone. If I notice I am tired every afternoon, I can ask why without judging myself. Maybe I slept badly. Maybe I ate too fast. Maybe I have been staring at screens too long. Maybe I have not taken a real break all day.
And once you start asking those questions, you begin to see patterns. That is the beauty of routine work. It makes invisible things visible. You notice where your energy leaks, where your attention disappears, where your mood shifts for no clear reason. Then you can actually do something about it.
Yes, and doing something about it does not have to be dramatic. It can be one adjustment. One, not 15, not a full new personality. Maybe you set a bedtime. Maybe you stop eating lunch in front of a screen. Maybe you go outside for sunlight before noon. Small changes can be enough.
Small changes are often more sustainable because they don't trigger resistance as hard. When people try to change everything at once, they burn out and then blame themselves. But if you change one piece at a time, you give yourself a chance to succeed without feeling overwhelmed by your own ambition.
That is such a good distinction. Overwhelmed by your own ambition. Sometimes people are not failing because they lack desire. They are failing because they tried to do too much too fast. The mind needs time to catch up with the plan. It needs a routine it can trust.
And trust is built through repetition, not speeches. Your brain trusts what it sees over and over. If it sees you waking up and rushing, it learns hurry. If it sees you waking up and pausing, it learns pause. The body learns the language of your routine.
That sounds like a perfect phrase for listeners learning English, too. The body learns the language of your routine. Because language, like habits, becomes familiar through use. You do not become fluent by reading once. You become fluent by repeating, correcting, and trying again.
That is a great connection, and honestly, it fits life perfectly. You do not become calm by reading one quote about calmness. You become calm by practicing calm behaviors in ordinary moments. The ordinary moments are the real training ground.
So let us bring this back to the beginning. If your life feels off, if you are functioning but disconnected, if you are smiling but tired, maybe the answer is not to burn everything down. Maybe the answer is to look at what you repeat most often, because repetition is shaping you right now.
And that can be both intimidating and empowering. Intimidating because it means the small things matter more than we like to admit. Empowering because it means you do not need a miracle to begin changing your life. You need one better repeated choice and then another.
That is such a hopeful place to end. One better repeated choice. Not a perfect day, not a perfect life, just a slightly more intentional start, a slightly calmer pause, a slightly kinder rhythm. Those small things can make a person feel more like themselves again.
And maybe that is the real goal here. Not to become someone new overnight, but to become someone less exhausted by their own life. Someone who is not always catching up, apologizing, or surviving. Someone who has enough space to breathe and notice what is happening.
Exactly. And if today's episode gave you even one idea, that is enough to begin. Maybe tomorrow morning you wait 1 minute before touching your phone. Maybe you drink water first. Maybe you breathe and look out the window. That tiny choice might be the start of a better rhythm.
And if you do it, do not wait for fireworks. Do not expect your whole life to transform in one morning. Just notice the difference. Notice how your mind feels, how your body feels, how your reactions change. That noticing is part of the habit too.
Because awareness is powerful. Once you notice a pattern, you can change it. Before that, you are just living inside it. So pay attention to what drains you, what steadies you, and what gives you back a little energy. Your routines are already speaking.
And the good news is you can answer back. You can say, thanks, but I want a different kind of morning. You can say, no, I do not want to begin with panic today. That is not selfish. That is self-respect.
Self-respect is a lovely way to frame it, because routines are not just about getting more done. They are about treating your own mind with care. And when you treat your own mind with care, even the ordinary parts start to feel meaningful instead of mechanical.
Which is a pretty good definition of a better life, honestly. Not louder, not busier, not more impressive to other people, just more aligned, more steady, more yours. That is the kind of change that lasts because it actually fits the person living it.
So, as we wrap up, remember this. If life feels confusing, start small. Look at the repeated moments. Look at the morning, the evening, the in-between. Look at what you do without thinking. That is where the quiet power is hiding.
And if you want a final phrase to keep with you, here it is. Do not underestimate the ordinary. The ordinary is where your future gets built. It is where habits live, where energy is shaped, and where a calmer version of you can begin.
Beautifully said. Thanks for hanging out with us today, everyone. We hope this conversation helps you feel a little less overwhelmed and a little more intentional about the rhythm of your day.
Yeah, and maybe tomorrow morning, instead of launching straight into the noise, you give yourself a second to breathe. Just 1 second can change the first step, and the first step can change the whole walk.
Until next time, keep listening, keep practicing, and keep making small changes that matter.
Take care, everyone, and remember, a calmer routine is not a luxury. Sometimes it is the exact thing that helps you feel human again.